confident.
This guy rents out supercars and makes $800K. This is what we're talking about this week. This is a guy who's living every teenage boy's dream. Fast cars, Miami Beach lifestyle, and tens of thousands a month in profit. To be young and entrepreneurial in America today has actually probably never been a better time than right now. So today, in like 10 minutes, we're gonna dive into race car rental, how to rent out supercars, rake in some cash, arbitrage, car supply and demand, and why it's sort of off balance right now. And then lastly, how we're playing this market. I think this is gonna be fun. Today we're gonna talk about money. All right, how do I know inflation and market bubbles are here? Well, race car rentals tell you the whole story. You can buy a Lambo new for 200K-ish and then rent it out for big dollars. And finally, you can turn it around and after you've rented it out, put more miles on it, done more things to it, you can sell it for $220,000 to $250,000. That's a weird supply and demand imbalance. He's calling it carbitrage. Let's break down how one guy does the rentals, how another guy buys the supercars for the wealthy and takes a cut, and finally, how you too can carbitrage, especially if you're in Miami. 3 ideas for making money from cars. Idea number 1, I met a guy in Miami. He rents out 30 supercars. He makes 13 to 40K a month per car. This 30-something is living every 16-year-old dreams, buying luxury whips, renting them out, reselling them for profit. I sat listening to him explain the business model, and one line really stuck out to me. He said something along the lines of, what if you could buy a supercar with a loan, aka somebody else's money, put a fraction down, rent it out for tens of thousands a month, and then sell it for more than you bought it? That's what he says he's doing. To which I reply, tell me more. And it'll be our secret / my tens of thousands of contrarians will hear about it. Well, pre-COVID, he was dreaming about driving these bad boys while watching YouTube videos. Now he's executing. He saw a market opportunity in Florida with the massive amount of high-tax state transplants moving and record tourist levels. There was a shortage of rentals, and that fast-paced lifestyle is perfect for Miami. They like shiny objects. So we thought, okay, I could probably buy the cars I've been obsessing about for decades, rent them to other people, drive them by myself, and maybe make a little money doing it. But he didn't think he was gonna make this much. He put up a website, some images, got a loan for a supercar. You'd probably need like a decent credit history or a backer for this potentially. But then he started offering rentals. That led to a business he now oversees, but spends candidly not much time on. The model in action. He bought a 2011 Rolls-Royce Ghost in October, $109,000 with warranty. Retails for $129K, I guess he got a deal. He rented it out during the busy season in Miami of November to May for on average $1,200 a day. Which is crazy. Who is he renting this out to? People who own NFTs? His Ghost is out 13 to 30 days a month. In slow season, that's 7 to 8 days a month. So that means he's making 15K to 30K a month revenue on one whip. Let's break down the profit and see what he's actually charging. Overhead storing cars, pretty cheap, 100 to 300 bucks in Miami. Delivery driver who does drop off and pickup costs, 25 bucks both way. Pro tip, client pays 150 each way, and then he pays the worker about 25 bucks. Maintenance, 1K to 2K a month, but usually under warranty. Insurance, $100 to $200 a month. I couldn't believe it was that cheap. Tires, expensive actually, 500 bucks to 1,000 bucks a month or so on average. That means his profit is 9 to 29K. I thought that was fascinating. He did say there's one problem, which is that often people try to steal the cars, so he also has to have a guy. And the guy, well, he follows these people and I guess gets the car back somehow. But when they do that, he actually has a charge for them and he has a hold that he puts on the credit card for people. So even if his big scary guy comes after you, you're paying for it. What's interesting though, is this gent has not one car, but 30. That's $300,000 to $870,000 per month. No wonder he's such a fast-talking, smiley dude. Now, the downside historically was that supercars and exotics depreciate about as quickly as a used wedding dress. So in a normal market, 50% of the profits would be eaten away by depreciation, aka the car is worth less today than when you bought it. But in today's market, he makes money flipping them. Wild. We're gonna get to that. Now, idea number 2 is don't buy for you, buy for them. This guy's name is Sahil of RPSS Group LLC. He comes from a long line of Indian entrepreneurs and hustlers, his words, not mine, and he's loved cars from a young age. What guy doesn't? Yes, I never really got it, but okay. But obviously, cars are a pricey mistress. So he started researching how he could be around dream cars without having to buy them. And he went to local dealerships near where he grew up and developed relationships. He would help any connection that wanted to buy a luxury car so he could get FaceTime with the salespeople and managers. Essentially, if you're super rich, you don't have a lot of time, you want to buy a car, buying a car. I mean, how many of you guys have went and bought a car? It's terrible. It's the worst. So he does it for you. That turned into a pretty big consulting business, all focused on finding the cars, dealing with the headaches, those hot dogs at the car salesman lots, all around working with the wealthy in getting wild whips without the headache. Now, he's bought and sold for investment 150 luxury cars. And Sahil's got a few for himself. I'm just telling you, perks of the biz, I guess. But the model makes sense. You buy a car in a lower ring of Dante's Inferno, even when you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sahil cures that pain for the big timers. He acts as the middleman between the dealer and the seller, negotiating the best deal, warranty, add-ons, as well as finding you that perfect lime green Lambo or whatever the kids buy these days. For his help sourcing and dealing with the hellacious pain of a used car salesman, he gets $2,000 retainer and 15% of the total purchase price. So if he helps you buy this $489,888 Ferrari Spider, he makes $74,833.20 to be specific, and $2,000 up front. So he makes $76,000 when you buy a car. Now, I don't know if you're thinking what I was thinking, but why in the world would anyone pay an entire year's salary for one car purchase when I can find them myself? Well, when you buy at this level, the game is a bit different. Oftentimes, you can't even buy the cars without connections. This blew my mind. The average wait time on a custom Ferrari, according to Sahil, is 5 years. Think about that for a second. I got $1 million. I want a hot whip. Ferrari says, awesome, we'll sell you one in 5 years. Sahil also negotiates the add-on packages, the purchase price, and warranties. His game is that if they could find a better deal out there without him, money back guaranteed. So if you're likable and have good connections, happy to wheel and deal with car salesmen, and know a thing or I guess 27 about cars, maybe car consultant is your new business card. For me, I'd probably just hire Sahil. And so I was just wondering, Sahil, do you do any deals on Hondas? Because that's what I'm in the market for. The third idea I have about cars is what we talked about earlier, arbitrage. I love naming things. Now, this model I'm testing out. Let me show you. 101 lesson on supply and demand. Cars are massively in demand, supply is massively limited. What happens in that kind of market? Well, the price goes up to meet the demand. Case in point, my husband and I went out to go buy a Tesla. I mean, we moved to Austin. We're here for like a year. What do? We turn into tech bros buying Teslas. But other story there is essentially it costs more to buy an old Tesla than a new one. Wild. Then I thought, is this an isolated incident? It's the same with Porsches, which are an 8-month waiting list. The problem all starts with the delay in new car manufacturing. There were 3.3 million cars in lots last year in 2020. This year, do you know how many there are? 970,000. That is 1/3 the inventory. Why? Chip shortages. There aren't enough chips, not those kind of chips. There aren't enough of these kind of chips. These are the electronic components of cars. Why? Because car makers shut plants during COVID-19 pandemic last year. And these chips are used in laptops, gaming consoles, that cool Oculus, leading to tighter inventory. We also bought more cars than expected last spring. Then we got the Chinese.
Let the rock tell you in Chinese. Chinese? Ding bang ding dong, his don't go aye.
The sanctions against the Chinese tech companies have further exacerbated this crisis, I guess, my Tesla crisis, which means for now, too many people want whips, not enough people are going to get them. Eventually, that supply and demand curve will equalize, but in the meantime, this is wild. There are Hyundais going for $10K over asking for an old one. The new Mercedes GLE, they're sending without GPS. Those things aren't cheap because they're out of chips and they're just gonna insert it later. Rolls-Royce has a 3.5-year waiting list for a customer. Standard Rolls-Royce wait time is 15 to 18 months. That's about 2x. And a 219 Rolls-Royce with 30K miles on it is going for $40K more than a brand new 2021 version. The industry expects these shortages are gonna kind of get cleared out this year in 2022, but I don't know, have you seen all those ships waiting outside California? But for those of us who want, a little risk in the game, maybe the only thing to flip isn't houses. Your Instagram game is about to be lit with all these hot rods that you're actually making money on. Well, I can't promise you anything. What do I know about cars? Question everything. We'll see you here next week. Oh, if you like this, hit that follow button or ring that bell or whatever you're supposed to do.